it seems things won't turn out perfectly when you want them to. And there is one thing you can do. You can sit home back and let the day roll by. Don't you worry and don't you cry, darling. You know we can't always win. We can try. Hold on tight.
This is Return to Health with renowned women's health physician, research scientist, and the author of Awakening Athena, Dr. Kenna Stevenson. Now for the next few minutes, join Dr. Stevenson as she explores health issues and answers that can return you to the days of sound medicine and practical strategies for your own health. It's Return to Health. Well, Dr. Stevenson, how are you today?
Doing very well, Mike. Thank you.
Well, I noticed that we wanted to kind of visit the notion that good food is related to good medicine. And what can you tell us about that?
Mike, we all have to eat. It's just part of our daily lives, eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the choices that we make as far as our foods will affect our overall health. And so by eating smart, we can improve the status of our health, and I believe that good food is good medicine.
Well, does that mean that that you sort of have to think about what you're eating? Of course, when you're not only when you're preparing it or going to the store, but also the choices you might have at a fast food restaurant or just a regular restaurant?
You are exactly correct on that. Nowadays, we have so many choices, and there are so many varieties of foods that we do have to give some thought into our menu preparation and our meals as we make choices either at a restaurant or at the grocery store or at home.
Well, does it ever come natural that you just know what you should eat and what you shouldn't?
Ultimately, I think it can for some patients as they become more conscious and aware of their food choices, and a healthy diet becomes part of their lifestyle.
Well, this is a very interesting topic then that you're bringing before us. And do I eat in relation to the specific challenges that I have from a health standpoint, or how do I decide what to eat?
Well, what we're going to be discussing today are good foods as good medicine for healthy people. Certainly people that have certain types of conditions and diseases such as diabetes or kidney disease will have to have very special diets. But today I'll be talking about people that have a generally good state of health.
So can food keep you healthy? Can it get you healthy?
Absolutely. I have seen in my practice many patients that as they change their diet and begin eating smart and eating healthy, they're able to discontinue using a lot of prescription drugs, and also their aches and pains and mood and sleep and other aspects of their lives improve so that they aren't so dependent on medications.
Well, in some of your writing, you talk about smart food. What do you mean when you say smart food?
When we talk about smart food, we're talking about foods that have been shown to enhance memory or improve performance on mental tasks.
So are you saying that if I have to take a test and I'm a college student, I might do better if I eat certain things?
That is possible, according to research.
Well, what kind of things do we have to do to have a good health experience or good healthy experience? What kind of foods are we talking about?
Well, I think the most important part of academic performance for students and for teachers and for us in the workplace as it relates to our productivity and efficiency is to eat breakfast. That's number one. Mama's right, you need to eat breakfast.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, that breakfast is the thing that you should eat. Of course, a lot of people don't have time to eat breakfast. What's your thoughts about some of these breakfast bars and these little things that the advertising claims are packed with nutrition?
Well, in my opinion, eating a breakfast bar is better than eating nothing at all.
When you talk about smart food, can you give us some concrete examples of what types of smart food are out there?
Smart foods are foods that provide a wide range of nutrients and something called antioxidants that protect not just the brain but all parts of the body. Our brain needs fuel to work. It needs glucose for us to be able to think and remember and do problem-solving tasks. Some specific foods include foods that are rich in vitamin E and vitamin B, as well as omega-3 fatty acids. And I'll just give you a rundown of some types of foods. The first group would be seeds, nuts, and whole grains. These foods are very rich in these types of nutrients, so they are smart foods. The best seed would probably be sesame seed or flax seed. Nuts that have been shown to be high in these nutrients are walnuts, peanuts, cashew nuts, and almonds. And then when we think about whole grains, we're talking about whole wheat bread, whole wheat bagels, whole grain pancakes or waffles. These are all types of smart foods, the first category of seeds, nuts, and whole grains.
So including seeds and nuts and that sort of thing, or something made out of whole grains, is a smart food.
That's a very smart food. The next group would be brightly colored fresh fruits and vegetables. And most people and most children like at least one or two brightly colored fresh fruits and vegetables. Some specific fruits that have been studied as it relates to memory and brain power are blueberries, strawberries, grapes, apples, and research shows that the red apple may be the greatest source of nutrients.
Well, that's really exciting, because what you're really saying is if you eat a kind of a well-rounded diet and include those things, of course we talked about fruits and bright colored vegetables. Would carrots be in that group?
Carrots are fantastic. They're a wonderful source of vitamin A as well as other nutrients. So in preparing breakfast and preparing lunch and thinking about a meal, if you have a smart food from each of these groups, you're going to be eating smart and you're going to be enhancing your brain power.
Well, that's really now that's not revolutionary thought. I mean that's thought that's based on a lot of research over time. Is that right?
Really, we haven't looked at these factors until about a decade ago.
Really?
But certainly as far as attitudes and mothers telling their children to eat their vegetables, and spinach is at the top of the vegetable list. And we think about the cartoons years ago. What was it that made Popeye smart and strong?
It was spinach.
It was
Everybody knows
eating
it.
spinach. So,
and Wimpy wanted a hamburger, and he was big and slow.
right, but our research that really strengthens these ideas has primarily been conducted over the last decade. The other point that I would like to make is that it's never too late to start eating this way. We're thinking about this in terms of children and test taking and learning in an educational environment, but studies show that even in the very elderly, a group of patients ages 70 and older, that by adding two fresh vegetables to their diet every day, they were able to improve scores as it related to mental tasks.
Is there research that shows that eating the right kind of food could even moderate really serious diseases like Alzheimer's and that sort of thing?
Well, over time, eating the right kinds of foods may prevent Alzheimer's, but once a patient has the diagnosis of Alzheimer's, I don't believe that good nutrition can reverse the changes, but it might perhaps slow the progression.
You said that breakfast was an important time to include some of these foods. What about lunch and dinner? Is it an equal share of the benefits that come during those meals?
Sure, and for some people, they have to eat breakfast on the go. They don't have a lot of time to prepare breakfast, and they may have more time later in the day, or they may have an hour lunch break where they can prepare a more nutritious or smarter foods for their lunch or their dinners. So whenever you can, do it, is what the research shows. Now, some ideas for a quick breakfast that do incorporate these foods would be a cut-up banana, a handful of blueberries, and a few walnuts. That's something you can eat on the go, eat as you're driving to work.
Right. Well, in fact, you could even have that could you have that as a snack also?
Those are great choices for snacks. Another breakfast would be getting some frozen berries, frozen strawberries, frozen blueberries, some low-fat yogurt, and making a smoothie out of that so you can drink it as you drive.
So if you plan, I mean, we're not talking about expensive foods. We're just talking about pretty normal foods, but just specific ones.
That's right. We all have to purchase food every day, every week for ourselves and for our families, and this is quite affordable and quite practical.
Well, when you say that you plan your week and you when you go to the grocery store, you get the berries and the nuts and bananas and fruits, and then the vegetables, you get those bright colored vegetables. What other types of food would you include in that? Because it's going to be a diet where you want some other substantial things. I don't know, a lot of people eat meat and other things. How do you look at those?
Well, as far as smart meats, the smartest meat would be fish. You've heard the jokes about fish food is brain food and so forth.
Is that the omega-3 that are in there?
Those are the omega-3s. And so eating fish has been shown to be beneficial. Consuming too much fish, too much processed fish, however, may pose a problem for special groups of patients, such as pregnant women and children, as it relates to some of the mercury content.
Well, so in your studies, can you come up with a meal plan that has all the right stuff in it?
Certainly. Some other meats would include poultry. So turkey and chicken are great sources of protein and of brain food.
Now, I've also read that some food also has a sedating effect on you. So if you have lots of anxiety, like it's a compound, I'm not sure what it is, tryptophan, and it sort of relaxes you, and it's in poultry and in turkey, I've read.
Yes, it is in a fair concentration. And we are going to talk about comfort food in a moment, which gets into the mood and food topic that you discussed. The other thing I'd like to mention in going to the grocery store is that the source of oil is important as it relates to food preparation and cooking.
That's the kind of oil that you use?
The kind of oil. So if you're making a quesadilla, if you're making an omelet, if you're going to saute some vegetables, the best choice would be olive oil as it relates to smart foods that increase brain power, that enhance memory and mental performance. So getting the olive oil is also essential.
So you would use olive oil. What about some of these oils that have omega-3s in them as kind of a combined product?
I think those are fine. I would say any seed oil would be beneficial, but olive oil is the most researched, the most studied, and has been shown to exert the greatest benefit.
Well, let me just kind of wrap it up for this time, because what you've really presented are some real common sense approaches that are research-based, is what I hear you saying.
Everything we've talked about today is supported by the scientific literature in large research studies.
So your proposal to people is to think about their food and to make smart choices for smart food, for smart lifestyles.
That's right, Mike. And may I give the listeners a website that they might go to?
Sure.
A website that I recommend for my patients that's very helpful as it relates to some more specifics about good food is good medicine is Old Ways, that's OLDWAYS, P like Paul, T like Tom, oldwayspt.org, O-R-G. And also I'd be happy to give some information that you can put on the website for listeners as well.
Also, you have a tip line where people can call any time of the day or night, and they can not only get a weekly tip from you, but also leave a question for subsequent programs. Do you remember that number?
That's right, Mike. Please call at 668-5971. That's our Return to Health line, and I would love to hear from you.
And that, of course, is area code 903-668-5971 to hear Dr. Stevenson one-on-one practically. And then if you want to, you can leave a message, and she'll answer those questions in subsequent programs. Well, thank you very much for this time, and that smart food is a smart idea, I guess. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you, Mike.
You've been listening to Dr. Kenna Stevenson and Return to Health. Dr. Stevenson is a highly sought lecturer on a variety of health topics, including women and heart disease, obesity in America, resurrecting the power of touch, media health literacy, gender matters in American healthcare, and many more. Dr. Stevenson's book, Awakening Athena, is available on Amazon.com and at fine book resellers. For health tips or to leave a question for Dr. Stevenson, call 903-668-5971. That's 903-668-5971. Or on the web at www.awakeningathena.com. Join us next time as Dr. Stevenson shows us the way to return to health.